Question 8 asks, which of the following situations have a sum of 0? Select all that apply. There is a number line over here that you can use to model the situations. However, the first one, it doesn't give you what temperature it starts at, so you can't really use the number line. So let's think about this. It just says the temperature drops 15 degrees from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then the temperature rises from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. So think about it. If you add those two things together, that's like saying that if the temperature drops 15 degrees, that's like saying negative 15. And then if the temperature rises 15 degrees, that's like saying positive or plus 15. Well, if you think about it on a number line, if I were to start at negative 15, say right about here, and then I was to add 15, that would bring me back up here to 0. So yeah, negative 15 plus positive or plus 15 equals 0. So in this case, even though we weren't given a temperature to start with, I would say yes, and I would put an X here. This situation has a sum of 0. All right, let's look at B. It says the temperature was 7 degrees at 11 a.m. So 7 degrees is right there in between. I'm going to make this a little smaller. There we go. So here's 7 degrees. And then the temperature drops 7 degrees from 1 a.m. to 11, or from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we started at 7, and then the temperature drops 7 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Okay, if you start at 7 and you take away 7, you do end up at 0. So that situation represents a sum of 0. Let's look at C. The temperature was 5 degrees at 9 a.m. So we'll start at negative 5 here. And then it says the temperature dropped 5 degrees from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Well, if I start at 5 degrees and I drop 5 degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I certainly don't end at 0. So this sum does not equal 0. In fact, it would equal negative 10. So this one you would leave blank, since the sum does not represent 0. Let's look at D. For D, it says the temperature was 3 degrees at 4 a.m. So let's say we're starting at 3 degrees. And then the temperature rose 3 degrees from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. Well, if I start at negative 3 and I increase or rise 3 degrees, 1, 2, 3, then yeah, I do end at 0. So this sum would equal 0. For E, it says the temperature drops 14 degrees from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and the temperature drops 14 degrees from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now again, it doesn't tell us what the temperature was, like where it started, so I can't really model it on the number line, but let's think about it as an equation. If the temperature drops 14 degrees, that's like saying negative 14, or going down 14. And then this part of the sentence, or the statement here, says the temperature then drops 14 degrees. So it dropped 14 degrees, and now we're going to take away another 14 degrees. So what would that equal? Well, we know it wouldn't equal 0. If I start at negative 14 and I take away another 14, I'm going to end up at negative 28. So that is not a sum that equals 0. So I'm just going to leave this blank. Finally, it says the temperature was 10 degrees at 7 a.m. So we would start at 10. The temperature then rose 10 degrees from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Well, if the temperature starts at 10 and then rises 10 degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then at the end of that time, the temperature will be 20 degrees. It will not be 0 degrees. So I am not going to put an X on that. The only three that will have X's, the only three situations that have a sum of 0 are A, B, and D.